Hey guys, this is Blade BowQuest and this is part 2 of Active Income. So this is part of my Money Mastery series. If you did not see part 1, you were in the wrong place. Click part 1 because this won't make as much sense to you. You really should follow these in chronological order. So this video really is kind of building off of the last one. We're going to dive into additional skills from alchemy, cooking, and processing. We're going to bust out a calculator. I'm going to show you exactly how to figure out what's profitable, what's not, and the pros and cons of when you use processing, when you don't, things like that. There's a couple ways that in under 10 minutes I made 800, 900, 1,000. You can see a couple different methods of actually getting over 4 million an hour. So grinding is not the best source of income, even though people do love to claim that. So I'm debunking that here. Well, grinding is not the best source of income.
Viewers, I'm from the future. I don't have much time. Not much time! Alright, the Black Spirit grew angry with us because Stephen Hawking and the Chimpokemon Shu and I all figured out ways to make more money than the grinders. The Black Spirit warned us. Black Desert Online is about grinding. It's about grinding. Not much time! I didn't listen. We didn't listen, you guys. And the Black Spirit with Medaya 2 has doubled the turn and loot. They have doubled the trash grind. And now grinding's reigning supreme. It's gonna be everywhere, like Walmart, in trees. Not much time, guys. We have to remember Susitz is probably a 4 to 5 million an hour area. The new pirate area with a level 57 group. You can get 5 to 7 million an hour. One day, I am convinced one day my money making will reign supreme once I absorb the Black Spirit. But until then, not much time. Grinding is not to be underestimated. Do not make the same mistake. I didn't listen. We didn't listen.
But again, this is only the category 1 of my entire wealth system. But, without further ado, let's get in there, right? And there's my face. I'm sorry, I can't ever start a video without doing that. So we want to get you in this situation right here. Hopefully what you learned in the last video is starting to get the wheels turning in the right direction. This is going to basically allow you, so at the end of the day, if you need another 20, 30 million, you're gonna get that. So I am on Velia. This is the top channel of Eden, and everything that I use to get rank 1 wealth is stuff that you're getting right here in these videos. Okay, so here we're at our alchemy station, and there's a lot of ways you can make money with alchemy. I'm just going to go over a couple, because typically the big money makers on alchemy are because you cannot get the components, and that just doesn't help anybody. So here's a quick and easy one though. If you have skilled 1 alchemy, that's when you start really making some money with this. This is from 4 bear blood, 3 purified water, 1 ash sap, and then 4 dwarf mushrooms. This is going to make the Fury Elixir. Okay, now you want to make sure you're using normal dwarf mushrooms and not the special dwarf mushrooms, because that will eat your profit right away. It's going to make these things over here, these endless Fury Elixirs. This is a special one. This is the blue one. This is a rare proc while making the normal green Fury Elixirs. But even though this will consume energy at a pretty high rate, if you can do it for an entire hour with your supplies, this is looking at about 1.5 million per hour of profit. So that includes buying everything you need off the marketplace and then selling it on the marketplace, of course taking that 35% cut after taxes. This is probably one of the best money makers in the game if you have sources for Trace of Savagery. That would be Tyrant's Blood right here. So it takes 1 trace, it's about 14k if you can get that on the market. Here's about 1,500 or so. Takes 2 bear blood. Now bear blood for Elixirs of Fury and Tyrant's Blood, bear blood, troll blood, and ogre's blood can all be substituted for each other. And generally it's profitable up to buying it at 2.5 thousand. Alright, our next spot, and we're still on gathering. What can I say? It is profitable. Okay, so this is northwest of Calpheon. This requires a little bit higher combat level than everything else, of course, just because the faster you can kill these guys, the better it'll be for you. What we're looking for here is troll blood. So, just like before with getting lizard blood, things like that, this is going to be quite expensive, quite valuable. Now, you can do a couple things with this. You can just extract it, sell it on the marketplace. Now that's going to net you about 900,000 an hour. And not too bad, right? So, and that is actually, if we're estimating the selling price is 2.3k. Looks like we can sell it at 2.7, so maybe that bumps it over $1 million. Essentially, this area is right here. We got Calpheon right there, anti-troll fortification, very simple to find. Again, same rules apply with gathering. You want to get the gathering costume. I'm using a sturdy fluid extractor. I think that works just fine. You could do a little bit more if you want. You could go with shining, but ultimately it is less profit, I believe. So the reason I like this is because my other method, getting Fury Elixirs, right, 1.5 million an hour, if you can get the blood. Well, how do you get the blood? You know, oftentimes you don't see it on the marketplace. I still like including Fury Elixirs just because if you do get that alchemy level and you buy bear blood, troll blood, or ogre blood throughout the week on the marketplace, then you can say, all right, I'm going to spend an hour, I'm going to make Fury Elixirs, I'm looking at 1.5 million. But if you want to do more than that, and you essentially just, you don't have the blood, this method, if you sell it, is 900,000. Now that is basically, that's 900,000 an hour. That's assuming that you're taking the cut, right, of 35% in the marketplace. If you're using your own blood, you're saving the 35% that you would have been losing. The 1.5 million an hour in alchemy accounts for the fact that you would be buying this at 2.3k. But if you're harvesting it yourself, then you can basically just build in that profit. Alrighty guys, so I'm here south of Calpheon now. Let me show you this area. This is, or west rather. So this is the area right here where the road kind of makes this little bend shape. Okay, usually the road is covered in pigs. There's a lot of great things in this area. Number one, there are tons of pigs. So you can get the same thing we did before. You can get the pig hide, you can get the pig blood if that's what you need in your market. There's also fur in here, so you can get that fur sap. There's also pine sap, but really the main reason I'm here is because of the bears. So this is, as far as I'm concerned, the best bear spawn pretty much in the game. So there's a 2 spawn back there. There's another 2 spawn right here that we're going through. If you go a little bit further, there's a group of 3, and then on the other side of the road there's another 2. So these bear bloods will pretty much always sell at 2.3 thousand, which is good. Now this is, again, it's not going to generate you over 1 million, but it is going to be about 1,000, about 900,000 an hour. So not horrible. Now you can subsidize that essentially by collecting more than just bear blood. Okay, so bear blood is good, but it is not enough. Take a look at this. We are looking at pine sap. This is the densest area of pine trees I have personally ever seen. There are tons of them. So as you're waiting for the bears to respawn, you can very easily supplement it with just going from one pine tree after another. You can see how many there are, how close they are. Every single one of these stalks represents more pine sap. But bear blood, again, typically sells for 2.3 thousand, and when it does, it will be around the 900,000 an hour. If you're just focusing on bear and pig blood, if you add in fur, if you add in pine, all of that while you're waiting for these bears to respawn, it is going to be over 1 million an hour. And then also, if you have that skilled 1 alchemy, and you make the Fury Elixirs, that's going to save you even more money. Because again, it's 900,000 an hour if you're taking that 35% cut from just selling it on the marketplace. Alright guys, so here I am overlooking Trent. The last place I'm going to show you for gathering, because we've hit quite a few of them, is basically right here. This is going to be pine sap for the most part, but you can also subsidize this with just a couple different gem rocks that are in the area. Right on the other side of that mountain, rubies if you want to get those. The prices of those have fallen significantly. There's always a wild horse over there, which, you know, if you're into horse breeding, you can pick that thing up. But generally, this is all about pine sap. So pine sap will almost always sell at max price, 2,100. It's very, very useful. It's used in experience elixirs and fishing boats. And while you're out here gathering, you can always just bring a pickaxe, and then right over there is a nice gold rock. So gold generally 6,000 or so each. So you can just hit this a couple times. You know, if you already have the gathering food and you're ready to go, you can make sure that you get at least a couple of flakes of gold at the same time. I did this all live stream, and we did it in 10-minute trials. It is going to consume a vast amount of energy, so keep that in mind. But what it looks like is it is going to be up there with sheep blood being about 2 million an hour. So factoring in food, of course, and then the tool decay, probably looking at fairly reliable, about 1.8 million an hour. Alright, so if we're talking about making money, beer definitely needs to be somewhere in there. I am only skilled 2 in this character. I am using a +2 cooking clothes. This is going to decrease the time that it takes me to make beer by 3 seconds. So it does go pretty quickly. We mapped this out. It looks like at this low level, if I'm buying all the ingredients, my profit is about 330,000 an hour. Pretty heavy energy cost as well. So it's not very significant. However, whenever you start moving up professional, if you get to artisan cooking, things like that, this is going to be a lot more profit for you. But the reason this is included is because oftentimes beer has to be purchased, right? So we're making that 320 to 350,000 an hour after selling the beer. If we're just selling the beer, that's our profit. If you're making it for yourself, it's basically a cost that you don't have to incur later on. So I do recommend at least having one of your alts. Basically, just set it up to cook. To make beer, you need a cooking utensil. You need 5 of either potatoes, wheat, or barley. You need 6 mineral water, 2 leavening agents, and 1 sugar. All of these you can acquire just at any kind of innkeeper. And from there, you don't really need any skill for it. Just start making it. And if you make your own beer, at least that's going to save you a decent amount of money. Alrighty guys, so I'm going to show you one more method here of making a significant amount of income, and this time to the tune of about 7.5 million an hour. Before you get too excited, is this a method that you can use every hour of the day for weeks? Heck no. No chance. It's just simply not going to happen. But at the same time, you should understand how I use this to make a significant amount of money very quickly, and then you can go from there. So we're going to do the whole math on this so you can see that everything that I've shown you tonight is backed up with math. We live streamed everything else. If I did the math equations for every single method I just showed you, we would have been here for an hour, and that would have really just wasted your time. So we're going to do it on this one though, and the product is sturdy birch plywood. So what I did was I bought 150 of these plywood hardeners. Like I said, price is a little bit different at this point, but what I did was I bought them at 23,000. Right now they're at 25,000. Okay, so my cost was basically 3.45 million just for the plywood hardeners. In order to make sturdy birch plywood, you have to have professional 5 processing, skilled 10 gathering. The tooltip is wrong. And then you can just look at a sturdy birch plywood or any sturdy plywood, see which NPC you have to do for the quest. It's in Kepler, but that's not the purpose of this video. Either way, it takes 3 plywood hardeners and then 10 plywoods in order to make a sturdy birch or sturdy plywood. So this is the cost associated to the plywood hardeners, and then we need plywood for that. We need 10 plywood per instance of making it. So if it takes 3 of those, and we bought 150, it's going to take 500 normal birch plywood. So 500, the cost of that was 6,000 a piece. It's pretty standard for birch plywood. This was 3 million. So now we're in it for basically 4.5 million, essentially is what we're looking at. And this took 6 minutes and 27 seconds. Okay, so we have our cost. Now we ended up getting 104 of these plywoods. I am Artisan 7 processing, and I was using a Craftsman +2 clothing thing, and that did affect it a little bit. So keep in mind, if you're trying this at skilled, or obviously professional 5 is the lowest, trying it at a lower level, you probably won't get the same numbers. But I got 104 of them, and they were on the market for 108,000 each. So this is the net worth that I got back after doing that in 6 minutes and 27 seconds. This is 11 million. Now I wanted to sell those on the marketplace, so there's a 35% tax. I'm only keeping 65% of that. So this is the amount of money that I'm going to make back in silver. I'm going to make 7.3 million. But our cost, if you remember, was 3,450,000 for the plywood hardeners, and then for the plywood, it was 3 million exactly. So now we've deducted the cost. There was no other duration going down or durability or anything that was lost. So this right here is our actual profit on birch plywood. Okay. Now again, we did this in 6 minutes and 27 seconds. 850K. How would you like to make 800 or to 900K in about 6 minutes, right? It's not too bad. So these are the opportunities that I want you guys to start looking for. So that's nice, 850,000. Now we did this in 6 minutes, 27 seconds. That basically ends up being 387 seconds. Okay, this is how many seconds there are in an hour. We're going to divide that by the number of seconds it took us to do this, so we can see that we could have gotten that profit 9.3 times in an hour, essentially. We're going to multiply that by the profit that we did make, which was about I think it was 850, somewhere around there. Yes. So now we're looking at 7.9 million silver in an hour of work. Again, though, you're not going to be able to do this for hours on end because the market simply cannot absorb it. But you can look for things like this, say this is a huge amount of money in an hour, so you know how to spend your time, and then you can spend it accordingly. People often make the point that, yes, Blade, this is only if it sells, though. And, of course, this is all only if it sells. We're talking about making money in the marketplace, selling to the market. In every other case, though, that I've given you, there's so much demand in the market that you can continuously supply it because those people are making money buying your items. So you're not going to have to worry too much about it. With Birch Plywood, though, you can see I already did get my money back. This is on a lot of 50 of them. The other one sold earlier, and then this is 3.5 million. Here is the profit. So in that 6 minutes and 27 seconds, because I only did it for that amount of time, I did end up generating about 850,000 additional silver. So very quick money. You have to look for these opportunities. Right now, the current price of Birch Plywood is 72,000. I sold it at 108,000. I can no longer make money with this. So this is not something for you to do at this point, but it is something to see and understand. The more people that are doing each one of these methods, the worse it will be for me and other people doing it. That's true. That's why I've given you so many. That's why I encourage you to branch out and do your own as well. But I've already decided that, even if I am giving up my personal edge and gaining money, I have enough, and I'd rather my YouTube channel be a better place for information for you guys to really enjoy it. Hopefully, this is worth a subscribe, so you guys would like to come back and see the rest of my guides. And hopefully my live stream as well can also be a sought-after place for good information rather than me just keeping secrets so I can have a little bit better edge in the game. I'm really just not interested in that. I'd rather share it with you guys. So that was the Birch Plywood sample. Just kind of interesting. We did it with fir plywood as well. That was interesting. We mapped that one out at 19.5 million in an hour, and immediately, because it was live streamed, the entire market was gone. Hundreds of plywood hardeners went, Traces of Earth went on multiple servers, and now there's no profit at all to be seen. Everybody keeps undercutting each other. They want to get rid of it as soon as they can. So, use this as a guide, you guys. Don't do everything exactly the way I'm doing it. It won't work for me. Long term, it might not work for you. These are subject to your levels. It's also subject to what's on the market and your server prices. So just keep that in mind. Alright guys, so on the topic of processing, let's talk about a very, very hot way to make money. And that would be breaking down crystals in order to make blackstone powder. Okay, so just today, over 100,000 blackstone powder has been sold since the beginning of Eden. There's been 5 million of these things being sold. It's used for almost everything in crafting. It's a very high demand item. It is very easy to liquidate. It's almost the same as having silver because you can just take it to the marketplace and then cash it in very quickly. So I'm not too concerned with these, the lowest tier thing here. This is just one person selling it. I would assume at this point the market value is around 1739. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind. 1739. Let's write that down. All right, and what are we going to do? We're going to go over here. We're going to look at one of these. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of different crystals. When you grind them using processing, you will get blackstone powder. So these, if you're just starting off, are the way to go. So any kind of dim crystals that you get while leveling, this is less than 1,000. So let's look at these things. These are 20 a piece. You can just take these guys, get them, and you can see how cheap they are. I'm also going to show you exactly which one to buy depending on your own market, your own money supply, and then what your level is. So let's go back to these. Just pick up a number of these guys. What we're going to do is grind. Now remember these crystals right here. If you have no money or just starting off, this is perfect for you. It's cost 1,000. We're going to grind it. We'll do both. And let's see how much blackstone powder we are going to be getting here. It'll show right down there, I think pretty briefly. If not, it'll pop into my chat here. But you can expect, yeah, so that one was 8. So that's 8 blackstone powder. And remember, these are 1,700 a piece. We spent 1,000. So you can see, yeah, there's the 8 right there. So when we do it again, we'll see what this other one gets. So that's a significant amount of profit. Those that really want to get the most amount of silver per energy, you're probably going to be looking at this. This is a very good way to go. Okay, so here's what I've been able to find. With Artisan 7 processor and a +2 crafting costume, typically the green crystals are going to give me about 8 to 12 of them. 8 to 12 of these blackstone powders. So if we take, what was it, 1739 was the market value. and we're going to average it out, multiply that by 10. Okay, so there's your 17,000. We're going to only keep 65% of that, and there we go. So you can get green crystals very easily for what, 5,000? 5,250 I think is basically the lowest you can buy them, unless you're buying one of the special deals, which I'll show you in a second. So that's 6,000 profit. That is over 100% return on your investment. So here's the thing. If you don't have a ton of money and you need to start this off and you don't have just millions to start spending on it, start with green crystals. Start with those karma crystals. Those are really cheap. Those are really fast. So the next thing you can do is the blue crystals. If you have a little bit more money, you want to start spending more and making more. So with blue crystals, I found that, again, my levels are getting me about 37.5 blackstone powder per crystal. This is from breaking down hundreds of them and seeing how much I got back on average. So we take 37.5, right? That's the amount of blackstone powders I'm getting from the current crystals I'm breaking, these magic crystals. We're going to multiply that by, not divide, we're going to multiply that by 1739, there it is, current market value. Now we're at 65,000. Now if you're just using the blackstone powder, that is the net worth you generated by buying one of those crystals and pounding it. So, but we're going to sell them in the marketplace because we want silver. This is a silver making guide. So we're going to get back 42,000. Do you remember what I bought them for? 21,000. So again, about 100% return on investment. This takes 10 seconds to do. It takes energy maybe one every 2 times or one every 3 times for me. Not very much. And that's 20,000 profit. I found that on average, I can do this with crystals about 200 times in an hour. That includes buying time and all of that stuff. So 200 times in an hour will get me 4.2 million an hour. This is with relatively low blackstone powder prices right now. You know, they were just up to 2,500, and I had a lot of good fun with that. So let me show you another good way. If you have tons of money and you want to just get into this, you can buy the ancient crystals. Now the ancient crystals on average for me get me about 90. Okay, so this is about 90. Multiply this by the current value. We're looking at this price. We're keeping 65% of that. Okay, so now the crystals are oftentimes 100,000. So obviously you don't want to do this. If you buy them for 90,000, you're still making a 10,000 profit. But here's the thing that I want to warn you guys. The more invested you get with buying higher tier crystals, the more you stand to lose if the market goes down. For instance, the blackstone powder is very volatile, and right now it is coming down pretty dang quickly. So if you buy the green crystal, you're going to spend 5,000 and make 10,000 basically, right? And then if you buy the blue crystal, you're going to spend 20 to 30,000, and then you're going to make 42,000. So that's not bad. You're getting about a 30% return on the lower side. And then with the yellow crystals, those on average are about, I usually get about 70, I think. So let's take 70, multiply that by current value, right? Keep 65% of it. And we're getting 79,000. And we just bought a bunch of them for about 60,000. So you can see how, yes, you're spending more money, you're making more, and you're doing it faster, because it's not like I'm getting 10 blackstone powder at a time, I'm getting 70 at a time. But if the price goes down, I'm going to lose more if I have the higher tier crystals. So you only want to do the yellow ones if the price is very stable and you have the money to spend and you can invest heavily. I still do the yellow. I think it's fine. Remember, this is going to be 80,000 silver I get back. I just bought a whole bunch of yellow between 50 and 60,000. That's 20,000 every single time. But the ones that you want to avoid are the orange crystals, because you're going to be getting 100,000 back in silver if you're processing Artisan 7 or something close to that. And if you're spending 90K, the price goes down by 200 on blackstone powder, you're not going to be making money anymore. If the price goes down on blackstone powder and you're doing the green crystals, right, 10 on average, and we'll just say it's an all-time low of 1,400 or something, and then you multiply that by 65%, that's the amount you're keeping, and then you subtract your initial cost of 5,250, you see that you're still making money. So if you're worried about risk, you always go with the green crystals. There's never going to be any kind of a problem with it, which means probably after this video they'll all be gone. But either way, you can see how this works, and I'm still making 3 million an hour with this method. At the all-time high, I was making over 10 million an hour. So you can see there are plenty of different ways to make money in this game. Here's the crystal section right here. You can look, we know this is going to give us 80,000 silver back. We know this is going to give us 80,000. We know this is going to give us 11,000 back. If we look at this, we're going to get 100,000 back, so we don't want to mess with the orange. That's going to be 100,000, 5K profit on 100K, just not worth it. All these blues, we know we're going to get 42,000 silver back. We can literally buy 7 more of them. All of this is a huge amount of money. Then you can go over to special deals. So especially after expansions come out, this is when there are tons of crystals on the market because oh my god, this is a lot of money. So now look, they're here for 18,000 a piece. So I can very easily just buy these up, right? We know we're getting on average 37.5 for the blue ones. Multiply that by what's the current price? 17. We don't need to, but let's use the all-time low right now. There was a couple on the market if we want to undercut everybody. We don't need to, but let me just show you. So that's the money we're getting back. Oh no, before taxes. This is after taxes, and these are 18,000. So we're going to subtract this by 18,000. You can see all I have to do is grind one of those, and I'm getting 22,000 silver. If I do this for an hour, I can get 200 of them. That's 4.5 million. Alright guys, so on the note of encouraging you guys to figure out your own ways of making money, here's a good way to do it. If you look up ingots, right, you can look up, that's spelled right. If you look up ingots, you can see, alright, these are the prices of all the different bars right now. You can figure out, alright, what's one that's relatively high brass here. You can see, okay, so this lowest one is at 5,700, and then the next one's up, and all of the next ones are basically 6,700. So this is not a good reflection of the market value. This is only 4 of them being sold. So you can assume the market value is at about 6.7 thousand. Now we have to look at what goes into it. At the bottom you can see copper and zinc. Okay, copper and zinc. So let's look up copper shards. There are copper shards here. There's 87 of them. Here's the price. Generally between okay, so about 1,000 typically. We're looking at 1,000. And then zinc would be the other one. We're looking at about 1,100. And as you can see, you can buy these relatively reliably. So we did a quick test where I bought 200 zinc shards, 200 copper shards. At that point, copper was valued at about 8,000 or 837. Okay, so a little bit less than it is right now. And then zinc was also a little bit less. It was 1130. What you do is you take, okay, the finished product, you say, great, this is the price of it. What's the cost that it takes to go into it? So it'd be 5 zinc, 5 copper. Now, if you're a high processing level, you're going to make between 1 and 4 of those brass bars at a time. So you want to make sure, if you're a professional, I think you should basically be in good shape to make profit. What I ended up doing was making about 1.5 million an hour, which is quite good, I would say, for something like this. The other thing is, you want to look for these opportunities, right? Every single skill in terms of making money has different pros and cons. Of course, this makes a lot of sense. Gathering, you got to be out there in the field, doing all that stuff, and then go and make sure you're finding the right material that needs to go up in the market for your server. Over here, processing is very understanding the market value of things and saying, okay, I'm going to use this and make this money right now, and then that opportunity might be gone. Fishing, you're going to be in the same spot, just waiting with about 60 seconds downtime, and then you go out and you do combat to get money, and then you can have the risk of PKing, you have your health potions, you could die, lose XP. Everything has its pros and cons, and processing is generally an opportunity type of thing. You have to look at the market, you have to say, okay, I can make money here, let's do it. So on the live stream, there was actually, the steel bars were 6,700 for a while, which was astronomical for steel, quite honestly. And I was still buying them at that price because I had so many manufacturing things. I thought, that's such a huge gap. Why don't we take a look at it? And so we priced it all out. Coal was still under 200. Iron, while often a shortage of iron, you could get it, There's 500 of them for 1,100. And what we found was steel was making 3 million profit per hour. And I started making steel because that's not too bad, right? And you can make that profit just selling it on the marketplace. I ended up just consuming the steel to make even more money. And a lot of other people on the stream also did that, and then of course it equalizes prices. So understand, if you are choosing to make money with processing, it's very much an opportunistic type of money. And then real quick, if you're just getting started, I don't want to dwell too much on this because oftentimes, in-game players are just looking to make money. But a very beginner, quick way to do it, if you're just starting off, to process, it takes 5 iron ore. You can buy tons of them. There's 240,000 on the market. It's 140 each. It takes 5. So that's 700 silver that you have to spend. In spending 700 silver, you make this, which is 1,100. Now there's 500 in the marketplace. It's only one person selling it. Probably that's maximum. You're always going to basically be able to get max on iron, and if the market looks like this. So you're spending 700, you're automatically getting 1.1 thousand. You can make between 1 and 4 of these depending on your processing level. So if you want a surefire way to generate some profit, there's zero risk involved, these will always sell, you can just kind of map it out like that. So there you go, guys. That is my money making guide. Have a good time with it. You know where I'll be, right here doing it until I can't. But like I said, I'd rather give up my personal edge. I'd rather tell you all of my secrets literally, so that you guys enjoy my channel and I see you in the live stream. Try to understand everything, try to figure out what works best for you, and I promise you it works because it is exactly what I did to get there, and you can too. Alright guys, I know what you're thinking. How does he change shirts that fast? That's not even the point. But on a serious note, I do hope that sincerely helps you guys very much. Now, hopefully all that ultimate armor that you're looking for is not that far off. That weapon that you're seeking is just no longer that distant future goal. You can see if you work towards this just a few days doing these methods, you will in fact be successful. So the last 2 videos were all about active income. This is only one category of my Money Mastery series that is coming out. The next one, right, it's going to be passive income. Active income is great, but that only is generated if you're out there doing it. It is not enough for your entire net wealth to continue to keep on growing. You need all pieces of the puzzle. So, watch the video again if you really need. There's a lot of good stuff in there. It should get you thinking. You can always ask me questions directly on Twitch, twitch.tv/BladeBoquest. If this did help you, I'd love to earn your subscription on YouTube, views on Twitch, and if it really did make a major difference in your gameplay, the best way you could help me, if you're so inclined, is to just tell one other person to watch it, and hopefully you can do the same for them. So again, thank you guys for your time. I don't take it lightly that you do spend this time with me, so I hope that I was a good steward of it, and I'll see you guys on the next guide.